Hey guys, thought I'd take us for a quick walk in the woods. Uh-oh, Thorn just fainted. He is out for the count. Come on, Thorn. Poor guy. Let's hope he didn't faint in the mud. And he's better. He just needs to get up, and he's too fat. We'll give him a minute. Not exactly sure what caused the faint. Not exactly sure if I'm going to have to go rescue him. I should not have to go rescue him. We're going to walk a little bit closer to the fence line and see if I can identify if there's a problem, if he's stuck like a turtle. Are you stuck, Thorn? So Thorn is heavily myotonic. He knows he is. There we go. He is a little stuck like a turtle. We're going to give him a minute, though, because he's got to work this out himself. While we're talking about the fainting, and this is an extreme faint, by the way. Usually fainting is they fall over and 10 seconds later they're back on their feet. He is on the extreme end of heavily myotonic, and he's a little fat. So this is why he doesn't move much and doesn't move quickly. He ended up, there we go. He ended up landing a little bit in a ditch. And as you can see, he's absolutely fine. So fainting doesn't hurt them. It's not painful, at least not that anybody is aware of, right? And studies have been done. It's a vestigial response that isn't really necessary in today's world, but we keep, breeding for, not to make it as extreme as he is. And he did fall into the mud. Look at that. Oh, he's going to be a disaster to brush out. They always fall in the mud. It's never on dry land. So, like I said, he's fine. He's not at all hurt. He's used to it. He knows what his body does and doesn't do, and he knows how to handle it. He was down for a significantly longer period than any of my other goats, and that's just because of where he falls on the Myotonia scale. So I guess that's what we'll talk about today while we walk the woods. That was not the intent, but we'll walk the woods and we'll talk about it. So I brought him in, and of course he wasn't used to, well, we attempted to use him this year, but he has not procreated with anybody on the farm this year. All the babies will be Phineas babies. But there's two schools of thought with the myotonic goats, and specifically with the mini silky fainting goats. Mini silky fainting goat standard does not require the goat to faint. And I have a problem with that, right? Part of preserving a heritage breed is preserving the heritage of the breed. And if you are calling them fainting goats, they should faint, my opinion. That doesn't mean I want them to faint like Thorn. When you see my babies, when you see some of, like Lotus, for example, stiffens up a bit from time to time. Emma has stiffened up on video before. There's a Myotonia scale. It goes from 1 to 5. Thorn would be like a 7. I like to keep my herd around a 2 to 3. And the definitions are pretty clear, right? 0 is they don't faint at all. 1 is they stiffen up, but they don't fall over. A 2 is they stiffen up and sometimes fall over. And I may not be exact on this, but it's close enough for the purposes of the discussion. A 3 is they fall over, but not often, meaning that when they do faint, they do fall, but they don't faint often. 4, they're fainting more frequently and they are falling over consistently. 5 is they are, fainting every time the wind blows. And that's just not what I'm looking for, right? But when you talk about a heritage breed and you talk about preserving the heritage breed, it's critical to me to preserve the heritage. But again, the standard for mini silky fainting goats does not require fainting. So you have breeders who are breeding fainting out of their herd, where their goats are 0 on the scale. And I do have a bit of a problem with that because that's not their heritage. You also have breeders who, people think fainting is funny. They want fainting goats because they faint. So they're breeding for these really heavy fainters like Thorn. And that also is not what I want because that's not a functional animal. He's fine. He doesn't, he's not hurt. He knows what he's doing, but it's not a truly functional animal. You've seen how he kind of restricts his own movement. He restricts the distance he goes from safety. And it's just a little bit of a different lifestyle when you faint like that. What I am going for and what I do have in my herd is what I call the 2 to 3 range on the scale. Our babies fall over all the time. And that is normal. They're supposed to, right? The entire world is new to them. Everything is new to them. Airplanes, helicopters, leaves, breezes, lawnmowers, everything is new to them. So yes, they faint a lot. But as they get older and they get more comfortable with their surroundings, with the world, with how things are and how they work, there's no stimulus that sends them into that full fall over faint all the time. They start to sort of pull back that response. They don't get the full faint response. They tend to just stiffen up a bit every so often. And I've told you stories, right? Like every spring when we fire up the lawnmower for the first time, the goats will faint because they haven't heard that sound for a while. A hot air balloon sometimes going overhead if it's low flying and then decides to shoot the noise of, turning on the flame to get themselves higher will send them, into a full faint. But it's infrequent and it's more related. I see them faint more or get into that stiff faint, not fall over, but stiffen up with excitement. Oh, treats, goodies, yummies are coming. And then they get stiff and they're slow to get here. We've got some collection of puddles back here. And we're going to stop back here because I don't want the dogs. Well, Tonka's already in it, but I don't want all the dogs. Hugo's come down with us. Hey, woohoo. So we're going to turn around and head back. Come on, guys. Tonka, this way. So that's what I breed for, is kind of that 2 to 3 level as adults. And I've gotten pretty consistent about that. But I've also, over the years, I've brought in animals that aren't as myotonic. Denali, for example, I don't think I've ever seen her really stiffen up or faint. So she would be more on the 1, even maybe a 0.5 on the scale. And Ren's personality, she's not going to faint in the least, right? So when we have those type of animals, I really need to temper that with animals that, like Thorn, are a little bit more of a fainter, so that we have the balance. And that's all we're doing. That's my opinion. It is not a fact. It is not a requirement. It is just what I believe and my philosophy, right? I want the, you can hear all the dogs running through the leaves. I want the goats to really hold that heritage, but not hold it to the point that it's detrimental to the quality of their lives. I do think it's a little bit detrimental to the quality of Thorn's life, but I also believe that by having him in a small herd like mine, where he's not competing with multiple bucks, where he's not getting beat up, where he has the ability to just manage his life the way he wants to manage his life, is as quality as we can get him. And he will pass that to his kids, but it will be tempered, right? And that is, again, kind of the plan. So selectively using Thorn with our goats that are a little bit lower on the scale balances that out and gives me kind of the baby quality that I'm looking for. So that's what Myotonia is all about. It is not a reaction to being frightened. Sometimes it is, but it's not always. It's often a reaction to being excited. It's often a reaction to being happy. It's really a factor of their blood pressure going up, their adrenaline running. And that happens not just for fear. It happens for, what do you see, Goofy? It happens for treats, for food, for clean stalls, for fresh bedding. And then sometimes it happens for fear or for unusual noises that startle them. So it's I'm going to repeat it because it's important. This is my philosophy. It is not a fact. It is not a ding on breeders that do it differently. It's just how I feel about how we preserve heritage animals. And I do the same thing with all of them, with the birds, with the, well, with all the different birds, I guess is the answer. You know, the geese, I could absolutely have more goslings if I were to outcross to a different breed that's more fertile, that's more capable. And I can do that and still retain the exterior look of the Sebastopol. But it does detriment over time, and it's not what I want to do. So we work with genetically pure Sebastopols, and that means they have very low fertility. It means they have terrible broody habits. They don't take care of their goslings at all. It means that I can go years without any goslings, and it means that there are times that I won't be able to, you know, sell goslings, and I'm feeding a bunch of geese that aren't producing anything. And I'm okay with that, because that to me is working with a heritage breed. You made it all the way to the back of the woods and forward. I'm so impressed, Mr. Hugo. You're going to sleep all day. So, much longer unintended video. I'm glad I caught Thorn in his faint. I want you to understand he's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with him. And then we're going to finish it up with everybody out in the pastures. We've got Olive sunbathing. She just looks like a big old rock. We've got Bob and Bobby Socks out and about. All the goats are out in the pasture, enjoying the sun. They're laying down, they're relaxing. The donkeys are out, as you know. And I'm going to leave it at that. I hope y'all have a fantastic day wherever you are in this world. Let me give you... I really need to learn to move slower so I don't give you motion sickness. A beautiful sky with some pretty clouds. And tell you, if you're still here, thanks for listening to my TED Talk. And if you are still here, you should probably hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Tell YouTube you want to see more of me. Tell YouTube to show me to other people. And that's all it takes. And it costs you nothing. Thanks again for being here. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Be kind. And I will see you at the next one. Bye for now.